and I have the pleasure of introducing Cole Wolford and his fabulous video, Breathing Life into a Painting. Cole was born in Oklahoma to the children of his grandparents. Cole's early formative years in a single wide pink trailer helped coalesce his need for a creative outlet. After detours to college, medical school, residency, and the practice of internal medicine, he landed with brush in hand, watercolor on his palette, and paper in front of him in his studio in Fort Lauderdale. He has signature status in Transparent Watercolor Society, the Florida Watercolor Society, Southern Watercolor Society, and Georgia Watercolor Society, among others. His works were exhibited in a U.S. State Department Art in Embassies exhibit in Santiago, Chile, from 2016 to 2019. It is my privilege and honor to introduce Cole Wolford. Take it away, Cole.
Thanks, Rita. I'm so sorry that we can't actually do this in person and have one of those margaritas together that Joe Miller was talking about, but save it for next year. I hope everybody enjoys the video. It was my first time ever creating a video, so thanks very much to Ron Malone and Kathy Durden for helping me put something together for this convention. I look forward to seeing everybody in person at the convention next year, and I'll be around at the end for questions if you have any.
Wow, Cole, that was like amazing.
Thanks, and glad
really unbelievable.
It was not going to work out.
Yeah, we have quite a few questions, and I wanted to start from the beginning here. A couple people were asking, where did you find the honey bottle tops?
So the ones I usually get are from Trader Joe's, but I've found them also at Publix. So you do kind of a creepy thing when you go down the aisle where the honeys are and just kind of snap the top of the lid and look, is it one that just squirts out or does it have the rubber seal on it?
Okay. Also, somebody asked, what drew you to using the mouth atomizer rather than any other technique?
Well, for one, what inspired me to do this whole kind of technique, as I said in the video, was that I fell in love with street art and doing the whole stenciling thing, as well as the street artists are using spray paint. So I needed some way to get a mist of paint going. Somebody had asked in the Q&A, why not use a airbrush? I don't have one. That's I tried it. The atomizer is relatively inexpensive way to do that. But using this combination of the masking fluid to create the stencil-like effect, because I got underspray when I made stencils, allows me to do this multi-layer technique. And somebody mentioned that, this is just like pouring, and I guess looking back on it, it kind of is in a way. I think I have a better control over the colors, though, than you would have been pouring, because I'm able to take that atomizer and directly put where I want these colors. And if I want to move them and mingle them, I can tilt the paper around at any point in the process, or I can just let it set and do its own thing.
Right. They're also asking about the size of the pill bottles. Are there a standard size, or?
It's kind of just a standard size opening that the pharmaceutical industry has. And miraculously, it's the exact same size for the honey bottles.
Oh, that's great. Someone asked, how many layers of mask do you use?
Typically, it's 4 layers. But if I do a painting that the values are just 0, 33, 66, and 100, then it would just be 3 layers. If I do more layers than that, it really becomes difficult to find the lines to know where to mask. And then you have to really rely upon your drawing much more so to do those additional layers of masking.
Okay. I have a question myself. I know when you work with 300-pound paper, it takes longer for it to dry. So how long do you wait before you put a layer of mask after something that you've sprayed?
Well, I mean, I've never really timed it exactly, but probably about an hour is plenty of time just to let it set. You can use a hair dryer without heat, just cool setting, and that will help dry it faster. But don't ever use a hair dryer with heat on it, because that will melt the masking fluid into the paper.
Have you ever had I've had a problem one time with PBO where the blue remained on the paper when I removed the mask. Kind of stained it a little bit.
So they always say don't shake up the bottle because it creates air bubbles. I always let it set for a few minutes because there is a blue pigment in there, probably phthalo, that adds the color to it. And I've noticed that on the bottom of the bottle before. I've never had any staining with it myself.
Yeah, I did that one time and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to use PBO again. I was kind of put off by that, but
I can see that'd be upsetting. But my experience, that's never happened to me. But I'm sure it's always could happen.
Yeah. Robin wanted to know more about the atomizer.
So I at one point I had my when I was living in Munich and I'd left my atomizer in Florida. So I went to the store there and bought one of these cheap ones that looks like the old protractor that you can just fold up. And it was just a disaster for me because I could never get the angles exactly right. And the wonderful thing about the Pat Dews atomizer is that it's fixed. And once you get used to it, you know exactly how much you can blow onto it to create what size droplet. So if you blow really hard, it's a very fine mist. If you just put a little bit of breath, larger droplets in it. And if you kind of stutter in with the air, then you get all kinds of interesting effects with it.
Yeah, I used one because I took a John Selman and I got his video and I bought Pat Dews' atomizer and I used that and it's really a lot of fun.
It was doing the John's workshop back in the early 2000s and it was fabulous then, but I was doing other stuff and it came out of the toolbox a decade ago again.
Yeah, great. And actually we have Pat Dews. She said she loves what you're doing with her atomizer.
We're inventing it.
It's great. It's great. Trina asks, if your paint is so light, does it dry quicker than other traditional methods of watercolor painting in between layers?
I would say for me, I've not noticed any difference because I do end up usually putting a good wet layer on there, even at the beginning, starting with water and then using the spray, or by the time you're towards the end, you're using a heavy layer of water. That said, it's less coverage because you've got more of the area masked. So that, you just have those little bit of areas that have gotten wet that have to dry. So it could dry faster if you wanted to use cool air on it.
Okay. Now that we've got quite a few people that are saying it was a great demo and they loved learning about your technique. Debbie Marriott, she's asking, what shade of phthalo blue do you use? Is it the red or the green?
Green shade, and it's all Winsor Newton. Those four.
Okay, that was going to be my question too. What type of paints?
Winsor yellow, the permanent rose, the quinacridone gold, and the phthalo blue green shade.
Okay.
That's what's so easy because it's 4 tubes. And you just 3 colors with that. Right.
Someone said that pouring doesn't show the beauty of texture that you get with atomizing. So maybe Linda Baker can use an atomizer then. Silver stuff. She's got beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it's glorious. But whether just throwing other paint on top of there with spurts or just clear water on top of there, you can get great texture with it.
Right. And somebody asked, how long have you been using this technique?
About a decade.
Okay. Yeah,
back in 2012 is when I started with it.
And Someone asked if it was difficult using the atomizer. Were there any tricks to it that you had to learn, or?
Yeah, don't inhale.
Oh, good advice.
Practice with water for a while. There used to be this paper that you could practice paint strokes on just using water, and it would change color and then it would dry and go back to the regular base color. I mean, just working on newsprint or something, and until you get the hang of it, it's a 5-minute thing and you're done. It's super easy.
Yeah, it is. We've had a lot of people in chat just saying it was an amazing demo, that they love this process. They like the graphic look of your paintings. Yeah, it was just a great demo. It was
cool.
It was fabulous.
Glad people were able to enjoy it and gain a little bit of further insight into my process with it. Yeah, it was me just started trying to replicate urban art with it.
And you know what's really nice about this format is that we're able to see it from start to finish. Sometimes when you're at a live demo, the person doesn't get to finish the painting. Because you're able to cook it, and stop and.
I drew 6 of the same paintings for this, so I got some extras going around.
Great. Well, I think that's about it in our questions.
Alrighty, well, then
that was great.
For making such a long day longer for you. I appreciate you watching the video. If you have any questions, just feel free to email me. And I look forward to seeing everybody in person next year.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Cole. And